All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. It is still November 3rd. We do 3 episodes a day. So day hasn't changed for me. I'm sure it's changed for you guys, but it is good to be here with you again. Hope you guys are having a great day, because today is a great day because we have Damon Hart with us from all the way over there on the West Coast, East Coast. I'm West Coast. He's East Coast over there in Florida.
Yep.
Damon is from Foxy Home Buyer, singular, not plural. We had that mistake earlier. So, Damon, I am super excited to have you here. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Of course, brother. Yeah, me too. I'm so stoked to be here, man. Been looking forward to it. Took me a while to get on the show here, but I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man. Hey, that's what you do in real estate, right? If it doesn't happen immediately, you just keep pounding it until eventually it'll happen.
Exactly. It's a lesson for everybody. Just keep going, and eventually it'll happen.
There you go. All right, man. I told you before we got on here, we like to start with stories. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story? How'd you get started in real estate?
Oh man, that one's easy. Years ago, this is when there was still seminars, and I guess there still are seminars now, right? But I went to a seminar like a weekend, and I had a friend of mine that I took with me, and I got at the end of the seminar, decided I had enough guts to go and try to get into this thing called wholesaling, and he didn't. His story didn't turn out so bad. He became an attorney, and he's doing very well.
There you go.
And I went into real estate and started doing wholesaling. Did my first deal shortly after that, and it was one of those things, man. It was one of those things where I didn't know a whole bunch. I was kind of very green. I didn't know anyone that was in real estate, but I just trusted enough that if that, like, there was this one guy from the room that was talking in the seminar about how he did it, and I'm like, look at this guy. I'm like, if he could do it, I could definitely do it. That was my approach. So years later, I kind of got into it, started doing mostly wholesaling, then got into buying, fix and flips, did some buying holds myself. But I think my claim to fame over the years has just been doing more transactions, talking to a lot of sellers, going to a lot of homes, talking with a lot of different sellers and buyers over the years through a lot of different ups and downs in markets. And I think that this is just one of the greatest businesses in the world. There are some challenges, but it's worth it if you can stick with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, so many people. I even went to a seminar. I can't remember what the name of it was when I first got started, but people up there, I was like, man, if you can do it, I was early 20s, so I thought I could do pretty much anything. But yeah, I think it's a great way to get that motivation when you first get started. So take us to your business today. What is your main bread and butter? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so most of what we do, I tell people we're in the real estate investment business. Primarily what I do is I'm the one that finds the deals. My company will get you the opportunities. We're talking a lot with direct sellers. We're working with wholesalers. We're working with realtors. However the opportunity comes to us, we're doing it. We're doing all the underwriting. And then we're bringing a perfect deal back to somebody that wants to invest. So if you're an investor and you're like, look, I don't know where to find great deals, then, and I'm stuck in this box, don't worry about it. Call the Fox and we help you find those deals, so we wholesale, we pick some deals for us. And that's always been a model that works really great for us.
Nice. So you said you pick some deals for us. So it sounds like you guys do flips, long-term holds. What does that mean for you?
Yeah. So historically, we've always done more, when it was a flip market, we were doing more flips. Then we slowed down and started getting more into buying holds. And for the foreseeable future, what we'll be doing is acquiring, and our plans on the horizon is to get into more of an equity fund that we'll create and raise capital and then buy stuff to hold, because, we see that coming.
Yeah. And that's your mindset here is 100% single family.
Yeah. We think single family is a great space because, there's really a buying frenzy that's been happening over the last 10 years to buy up single families. And I don't know about you. I grew up in an apartment, essentially, apartment living. And it's not really great for everybody. Most people would much rather live in a house
Yeah.
than they would in an apartment. And I know, some people say, oh, multi-unit, I get it. I mean, there's definitely a market for it, but I just think if you're, especially in really great, I'm here in Tampa, Florida, right? If you're in a nice part of the U.S. and you can get into a decent house and you can afford it, you'd much rather live there than an apartment,
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said about that long term.
Yeah.
And apparently Warren Buffett and a lot of other people that have a lot more experience in the space tend to agree. So
Yeah.
who am I?
Follow the big money, right? And that's where a
Yeah,
lot of the big money's going is single
exactly.
family houses. They can't make more land, and a lot of the jurisdictions or the municipalities are restricting the ability to, or actually they're just more favoring multifamily development versus single family. So yeah, I think single family is here to stay. Obviously, it's a great asset to buy. Um, and it's something that you can get into when you're a new investor, or when you're, like yourself, multiple years under your belt, tons of experience. It'll still serve you well. And
Yeah,
we're having, oh, he's back. We had a little bit of technical issues there, but I think we're back.
still here.
All right.
Yeah, still here.
All right, so sounds like you guys, your bread and butter, what you're really good at is finding the deal. So let's jump into that. Let's talk nitty gritty. How do you guys find your deals? Let's first just start with lead generation. What's the best way that you guys go about generating those leads?
Yeah, so I think it all depends because I'll answer it generally, right? It depends on who you are and where you are. If you're somebody like for us now, we're at a point where we have an established track record, we have a presence online, and we have some experience. So what works really great for us is online marketing, social media, referral networks. Those are the things that really will get you the opportunities that you're looking for because um, people just aren't really like they're not really looking, right? They're not coming and looking and saying, I can't wait to sell to an investor. You have to kind of be Johnny on the spot when they need you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that works well for us, like the online Facebook ads, that sort of thing, Google ads, that tends to work. And then the other thing that's kind of been a workhorse for us over the years, although it's being attacked right now, is SMS.
texting. Yeah,
Text platforms. I mean,
yeah.
that's just
We completely took that out of our stack. Just the legislation is going against it, and we just don't see a long term future for it. And so we just took it out. Unless you're
yeah,
getting investors to go to your website and opt in to your list with their phone number, it's just at that point you might as well just do online marketing, because that's
right.
the best way to do it.
Right. And I think that's by design, right? My conspiracy theory mind works in that because if everybody kind of has to go and compete in that space, then it cuts out, it kind of pushes everybody towards certain platforms that we all have to use to get to the customer, which is fine. But I think, part of it is the name of the game is also like, what story can you tell? And how much you can relate. I mean, I personally have been in foreclosure in the past. I've been in places where I've been a motivated seller, and why I started the company is I felt like I had a really great experience with the process that I went through, and I said, shoot, what if I could do that for other people too? Because I know there's more people like me out there, and it's fared well. Now technology has kind of brought wholesaling or real estate investing to kind of like the masses, if you will. But I still think there's a tremendous opportunity we could do as a community to do it better. Like there's no innovation in our space. It feels like everybody's kind of saying the same things that I said 20 years ago. As is, I see the look on your face, right? It's like as is, buy it fast. It's like, dude, they all know that. Well, what else are you going to offer?
Yeah,
What else are you going to bring to the table?
yeah,
So those two strategies is kind of like where we get the best. And then you can't beat reputation, man. Referrals. Had people say, hey, my a lady the other day, a friend. Okay, so a friend sold their house, and then that a friend of a friend sold the house, and then that friend told another friend who ended up selling their house when husband died, or boyfriend, fiance died all of a sudden, and was just like, yeah, I heard you guys did not take advantage of them, of that other friend from my other friend. So I said, you know what, I give you guys a shot, and we got it done. So
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Building that reputation, and having a reputation of integrity, of not screwing people over, of not, making the timeline longer than it should be, all that kind of stuff. That is definitely a competitive advantage. And it's
yeah,
difficult to build because you have to get the volume under you. You have to prove, by going out there doing deals, that you have good intentions, and that you're there to serve, every party.
for sure. Yeah, that's the real deal. And and I will say, for the listeners, it's okay wherever you start, right? Just understand that your competition, for the most part, is going to be misinformed. If you're other people that are in the space, they don't really have any true track record or true experience. They're just going off of what somebody told them and taught them on a pod. And I think that's another thing that are not this podcast, but like I think that's a challenge in our whole industry overall. There really is no standardized way of being trained, and
Mm,
everybody just kind of goes out there, and then you end up getting a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing, and they make it bad for everyone. And
yeah.
now with the internet, there's so much opportunity to get in. I see that really being a tough thing for consumers, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're a customer, if you're a seller, you're just like, shit, how many times is someone going to call me and ask me if I want to sell my house and lowball me,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah. That is a tough thing to address. The education space, and getting something standardized that everybody can agree on.
yeah,
Obviously we have the real estate training, but there's no real estate agent training, but there's no standardized training on the investing side. So yeah, maybe that's an opportunity. I'm not going to address that opportunity, but it's out there for somebody to hit up for sure.
yeah, yeah, for
All
sure.
right. So next, as I said before we got on here, there's not a ton of time that we have, but I do want to address two things. One of them, let's start at the beginning. You mentioned you really like online marketing. I've tried it. I wasn't good at it, so I switched back to mailers. That's my bread and butter.
Mhm.
For online marketing, um, first, what platforms do you use, and then what are some tips for people who really want to use that and excel at it and get really good at it?
Okay. So the first thing I would say from experience that is paramount with the online stuff is, if you're not an online marketer, you got to get with somebody that actually knows the space. Number
Mm,
one. Don't try to DIY, right? It's just like if you didn't rehab before. If you're gonna go and do a rehab, I remember I did a rehab, like my first rehab. I didn't know anything about construction. I tried to do it myself. $10,000 later, and like half a living room and a bathroom, and I was out of money. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. If you want to get into that space, be serious about it, and work with somebody, vet somebody, and get the right person that can do that for you. Then the next is, if you want to get into other online marketing. So that's like your I'm suggesting that you use a professional for like Google ads, or Facebook ads, whatever. But if you're going to get into social media, which everybody would be ideal, right? You can get them direct from the customer, and they don't cost you as much. You got to really focus on your content and your messaging.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, again, get with a professional, get with somebody that knows what the pain points are for your customer. Because when you do that, then you're going to be able to provide really great messaging, and then have that person resonate with what it is that you offer. Because otherwise, you're just going to put out a bunch of stuff, and it's going to be all on deaf ears. And if you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to sound like everybody else sounds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, really honing in on your messaging, when it comes to marketing, is so crucial, and it's something that most people don't do. Which means if you do it, your competitive advantage is pretty significant.
yep,
So I like that you said that. If people are looking, I don't have anything to sell here, but if people are looking for a way to easily create content, not easily, but without having to think up different topics, I always recommend, if you have the inclination, go out, start a podcast. It's really not that hard, and it's a good way to create authority. I love doing this, and it's not as hard as you guys think. It does take a little bit of effort to set up, but I think it's a good way to create content. And I'm going to stop there. I don't even have a course. I don't have anything to sell, but I do love podcasting. So I'm just going to say, if you have the inclination to do it, definitely do it. All right. So that's enough. I'm going to get off my soapbox and move us on. The next question I have for you is presenting the offer. This is something that a lot of people struggle with once they get in contact with that seller and they have the conversation, they come up with the offer. What is the way that that you present it to the seller in a manner that makes them see that you're on everybody's side?
Dude, I'm giving away the gold. So if anyone listens to this podcast, I'm telling you, this is the magic, the secret sauce to what's going to make the difference in real estate. You have to be in that person's shoes. And I know when I'm selling something, when I went and I had to sell, my mom's old car and she wanted me to sell it, the first thing I thought was what? Well, how much is this thing even worth, right? And I think that I found is the number one question that everybody has. So you just got to tell them.
Yeah.
You just got to tell them, hey, I think it's worth ARV wise, 400,000.
Right.
And I think a lot of investors skip that step because they're afraid that if I say, hey, it's 400 grand and I'm going to offer you 220, they're going to obviously say no. But what you got to find out is, hey, it is worth 400,000 if you fix it up. But what's more important to you, Steve? Right? What's more important to you, Gabe?
Yeah.
You want to have the money. You want to have all the money now and no attachment. You want to have some of the money now and some attachment, or you want, the top price and you want to, wait for this thing to sell.
Yeah.
Because those are really your options. And if you can get that communicated to the seller, they're going to tell you like which one is which. Whereas most of the times I find that most investors, the way that they've been trained or exposed is they say, okay, well, what do you want to do? And they go through a whole list of questions. By then, that person's so fatigued asking questions. By the time you get to the offer, and if it's lower than what they thought, they're furious. They're like, dude, you just ate up 15, 20 minutes of my time asking me all these bullshit ass questions. And now you're going to lowball me. Don't call me anymore. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I've done it. Don't get me wrong. I've done it in the past. Like that's where I started. But I'm telling you, 10 years in, if you want to increase your rate, that's what you got to do, man. Just be straight up with people and say, yeah, if you were going to do it, it would be worth 400. But here's why. And then educate them and walk them through the steps. That's the goal.
Yeah. And I feel like I love that you said that. And I think that is the biggest thing that people mistake is that they just put the offer out there without showing the seller that you are, you're not screwing them over. You show them like, hey, this is, I know what your ARV is. This is your ARV. Now, this number and ARV for everybody after repair value, it's what, if you fix up the property in perfect condition, put it on the market, that's what you'd get. And then you just like Damon was saying, you just communicate to them, this is the number, this is the legitimate number that you will get if you fix up your property. But in order to get there, these are the hoops that you'd have to jump through. Do you want to put this effort into this property in order to get the return? Or, we can just buy it right now at this price. And this is why we got to this price, because it takes exactly what we just said, a whole bunch of effort in closing it, in putting this much into the capital repairs. We do commercial, we call it capital versus other things. But yeah, I love the approach. And I think that is something that so many people overlook, is the complete transparency with the seller in what you're looking at numbers wise.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and I will tell you as a and I like to take real estate out of a lot of examples, but like if I came to someone when I was selling an old Acura that my mom just didn't want anymore, right? Same example. If I'm coming to you and I say, hey, if I knew that blue book value is like $3,000, right? But if I knew that it's the blue book value is 3,000, of course I want to get $3,000. But I know it's gonna take a little bit of fix up. It's gonna take this. But as long as somebody comes to me with a decent offer and I don't have to keep answering all these people on Facebook Messenger, then I'll do
Marketplace,
it.
Yeah.
Right? Facebook Marketplace, right? I'll do it. Why not? Because I want to sell it. That's the whole reason I'm even posting it on there. But that's what I'm telling you, man. And you it sounds like you've confirmed it for me too. That's the goal. That's the secret sauce. And if you're tuning into the Real Estate Investment Podcast with Gabe, you just got put onto game that took me about 10 years. How long you been in business, Gabe?
2014, so almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. So it took us 10 years to figure this out, and you just got it in all of like 20 minutes. So
There you go, dropping
you
bombs.
you never hurts to be lucky tuning in this podcast for
Yeah.
sure.
And I will say that works. You know, we do commercial. We don't do single family. But I started out in single family, and it works on both sides of the aisle there. Works commercial too if you want to do that. You know, tell the seller you understand what their business is worth, so that they know you're not trying to screw them over. So I'm gonna end it on that high note because we have run through our time. It is time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Ready.
Boom.
Let's
Let's
go.
do it. All right. It starts with books or any form of education. Give me 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom, one for real estate specific.
Oh wow. That's a good one. You know, for real estate, I still got to start with it sounds kind of cheesy, but I would say like the whole Kiyosaki type of
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. It starts for a lot of people, but that was the book that kind of showed me what was possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so whether you're like a neophyte in Rich Dad Poor Dad or any of the stuff in the Rich Dad series, because this graduated stuff, you can talk Castro Quadrant, you know, etc. But that whole Rich Dad thing, it just kind of solidifies your mentality, you know, as far as what real estate is really designed to do. And it's supposed to be, you know, a haven, like a haven for assets. Like it's a great accumulator of wealth because there's our tax system is built for that. You know what I mean? It's built. If you're a rich person, if you're a wealthy person, real estate helps you become wealthier, right? And if you're a wealthy person, real estate helps you preserve your wealth, right?
Yep.
It's just how it works. So that would be my first one. And then the next one, more of a personal growth type of book. It's one that it's not real estate related, but it's so right about just life in general. And I believe the book is called The Slight Edge by
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon. And I don't know if it sounds like you're familiar, you've read it.
Mm-hmm.
Love that book because it's really in simple terms, just how the power of doing something small every day. In our business, we call it get better every day, GBED, right? Just those small incremental things compounded over time will bring you, you know, the success that you want. And I think in the business, sometimes people will look for the magic pill or something quick, but it's those small incremental things over time that will lead to your big success. And if you can get that early and commit to that, whether it's real estate or not, you'll definitely have a more fruitful life, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. That is one of my favorite concepts, and it works in business. It works in fitness and health, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
I even named my real estate business is called Kaizen Properties because the idea of Kaizen is incremental improvement. And so I love that idea, and I feel like it's a great the book you mentioned is a great recommendation for anybody who wants to get good in pretty much any endeavor. So
Anything. Yeah.
yep, that's a good one. Moving us on to the next question, and this is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Damon 10 years ago. Did not know anything about real estate, was just getting started. Go to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Man, what I would have done much earlier is once I figured out, because like you start out by yourself, then you get some mentorship, um, and then you know there was a break in between. What I would have done uh, is once I figured out that I could actually do it, I would have started growth and like expansion much sooner. I would have put the other people in place to help grow the business and understand being the CEO versus the hustler. You know, I would have definitely focused more on that earlier on.
Yeah, the
So,
who,
you
not
know,
how. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
the
a
who, not how.
that's a hard transition to make. Not it's not really a hard transition, I feel like, but just the mindset that you have to change is
Mhm.
it was difficult for me, and I feel like it's a hard hump to get over. So, um, yeah, love to hear that. I'm going to move us on to the next question, and this is about the U.S. It's a big place, a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Right here in hometown, man, Tampa, Florida.
There you go.
Um, I've had the good fortune to kind of travel a lot around the country. I've been in like the really up and coming areas like Charlotte. I've been through there. I have friends in Dallas and that surrounding metro. Living in California for the last 2 years, being around like San Diego and seeing that. Scottsdale not being too far away, seeing how that's kind of exploding and been for the last few years. You know, what I can say that's unique about Tampa is that I kind of like describe all of Florida as like you live in the Caribbean, but there's Walmarts. You know what I mean? Like, like
Best of both
everything is
words.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is here. You got everything, man. And Tampa has a super easy, just an easy vibe. And this is from a guy that's lived in Florida 10 years. I never really lived in the city. I live in the city now. And what I can tell you is there's just a vibe of there's vibrance. There's a lot of youth here. There's some culture. You do have access to a lot of different places. So it's not a huge city. I think there's going to be more opportunity, as far as like a volume, if you will, in places like Jacksonville or Orlando. But for me, I just really enjoyed Tampa. I think it's really great. I think it's definitely settled and it's prime for growth and people here it's just so eclectic. Like there's an energy here in Tampa that I think is true to like all those other cities that are up and coming. So I think there's tons of opportunities going to come out of here.
I love it. Yeah, man, I can't remember the guest who it was that was on, but he was
Mm.
down there from Florida, and he went on and on about Tampa, and he wasn't even in Tampa. He was just
It wasn't
saying
even in.
he was
Yeah.
just like, man, Tampa is about to explode. It's one of the best metros. Like, you just got to get in. And I was just like, damn, all right, I haven't looked at Tampa. Maybe I'll take a peek.
Yeah. It's you kind of have to be here. You gotta have to be here because even myself, I lived in the suburbs for a bit, and then we lived on the east coast of Florida, and that was more a beach city, kind of like laid back. And I always come to Tampa, and I'm like, oh, it's nice here, but whatever. But once you're here inside the city limits and you're experiencing what's going on, man, it's nothing like it. And the secret's getting out, man. People from California up north, even Texas, they're moving here because we got a lot of things that are great. I mean, the income tax structure is fantastic. A lot of things work in our favor as being a citizen. And then you throw on top of it that I would say Florida's like going to Harvard for real estate, right? We could do anything here.
It's true.
Everything you can do here in Florida. So I think you tie all those things together with Tampa having the history that it does and the opportunity, you're in it, man. It's a beautiful place.
Are you at all nervous about hurricanes?
Um,
From the perspective of somebody who's been there, sounds like almost your entire life.
Shit.
That's been the thing that has kept me away from Florida.
Yeah.
I think it's great, but I've always so nervous about hurricanes.
Yeah. So here's a secret about hurricanes. Okay. The big ones that are gonna hit. Yeah. The you Most of the new construction, you don't have to worry about hurricanes so much because yeah, unless you're near water, you're not gonna get in trouble. When you do live near water, yeah, you're gonna evacuate and you could be in trouble and lose a lot of precious stuff. But it's kind of like I equate it to like what you experience in California. It's like you live on the West Coast. It's like everybody knows there's earthquakes. Until you get the big one, no one really cares, right?
Right.
Until you
Yeah.
get the really big one, you take the good with the bad. You go to California, you look out on the coastline, you're like, man, this is beautiful. And only when you see a landslide or a hurricane, you're just like, or an earthquake, you look up and you're like, man, this could really be bad someday. You know what I mean? But
Shit's hitting the fan right now.
yeah, but until then, you're like, see you tonight. Going out, going to the beach. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things, man. But you take the good with the bad. But I am not afraid, but I do respect Mother Nature and all that she does. So we're gonna pray
Yeah.
that we don't get any here. Tampa's been lucky; we haven't had a hurricane. I think over like uh 100 years or something like that. Ridiculous. Like it just keeps skirting by Tampa somehow, some way. So never hurts to be lucky. I'll hang out
keep
here.
crossing your fingers, right?
Yeah. Yet another reason to come to Tampa. No
There
hurricanes.
you go. The only place in Florida that doesn't get hit by hurricanes.
That's it. That's it.
Right on, man. So I got to wrap it up. Leads us to the very last question. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. What is the best way for them for people to reach out?
Yeah. So, for anyone here that's local and they want to, they want to know first, number one, what their home is worth, and they want to know what options are available to them to sell their home, they definitely want to reach out to us. And that's at Foxy Home Buyer. You can find us anywhere on social media, Facebook, Instagram at that tag, or foxyhomebuyer.com. Me personally, I do talk about, real estate investing and what it's done for me, and also how to help people earn money in real estate. They can reach me at Damon Hart, Mr. Foxy on Instagram, or you can just call me. You can call me on my phone, 813-413-7929. That's my real phone number. That's my office. You can call me, text me, email Damon at foxyhomebuyer.com. I'm pretty accessible, and I'd love to see if there's anything I can help you with.
Perfect. So that is the URL is Foxy Home Buyer. That is singular, not plural.com. I'm going to put that link in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out, just click that little more in the description. It'll pull down the full description. In there, you can find Damon's link. All right, man. That wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Gabe, a pleasure, my brother. And I wishing you nothing but success. When you're ready to come to Tampa, holla at me. We'll go out, take you here. I can take you out on the board.
Sounds like a plan to me. For everybody who's here with us, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. And if you guys want to support the show, all we ask, give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.